Sydney Harbour is one of the most important places in the nation. In 1996, Defence had a number of absolutely magnificent sites in Sydney Harbour that were on North Head, Middle Head, Georges Heights, Woolwich and Cockatoo Island. And they were vacating from these sites to go to the northern part of Australia.
The then Minister for Defence decided that he was going to move the army bases, and the Minister said in order to fund this we'll have to sell land in all of these sites except Cockatoo Island in order to fund the transaction. Well, that led to a lot of community concern, and they came up with the first proposal, and the first proposal had 300 sites for residential properties and a very large swimming pool on Georges Heights, which would be very visible on the horizon and would involve the destruction of bushland. And that led to another uproar, and then there was a final proposal which came out called the preferred solution. And I woke up one day and read the Sydney Morning Herald and found that this was a fait accompli, that this was going ahead. And look, I was in despair, and I got a wonderful phone call from someone called Linda Bergen, and she said, "I need your help. Will you be part of the coalition, the Headland Preservation Group, to stop this happening?"
I was one of the founders of the Headland Preservation Group. At the time, I had only just recently migrated to Australia from the US, and I was running an internet company, and I only knew one person in Mossman, and that was Dr. Peter Jones. I rang him, and he rang Don Goodser, who was known as Mr. Mossman for his activities in Mossman. And we got together at Peter Jones' house and we kicked off a campaign.
You had Don, who had a wide network of friends and acquaintances and extraordinary communication skills. And you had Linda, who was a computer expert, who could do enormous research and who had great writing skills. So it was a powerful group of people.
Don and I worked as pretty much as partners, even though I was officially the president and he was the vice president. We did everything together, and I relied on his knowledge quite a bit at the time.
Don came out of his study one morning and said to me, "Look, Federation is coming up pretty soon. Why don't we make this the idea of a Federation gift?" As you know, people say an idea is more powerful than guns. And that's what they employed.
We had public meetings in Mossman, and we also linked up with defenders of the Sydney foreshores and people from Manly. And it was a very, very strong coalition of community groups. We had people like Jack Munday, who was passionate about preserving these areas, and people like Tom Uren, who was also very supportive. The question is, how do you turn a government around, a government which had a huge majority, and a government which had told the community they were not funding the restoration of this land?
We approached the media, obviously. We lobbied all the political parties, and our group was non-party political. It was very political, but non-party political. We didn't favour one party over the other and all this kind of thing. We had contacts into every political party. We treated the political parties with respect, but it would have appeared to the government we were very political. In February 1997, Premier Carr became fairly crucial to this battle because he came on board. In September 1997, Bob Carr came out to Woolwich, which is John Howard's electorate, and made the announcement that none of this land would be sold out of the public sector because he controlled the sale of land.
I phoned up Arthur Sinodinos, who was John Howard's Chief of Staff, and I said, "I really do need to come and talk to you about what's happening with the foreshore lands." I took Linda with me and Philip with me, and we went down one freezing night to Canberra, and Arthur was convinced. He said, yes, this is a project that ought to be supported by the government.
Then what happened was the pressure built. And of course there was an election coming up, wasn't there? The election was coming up in October of 1998. And we ramped up the pressure, but we didn't know what was going to happen. We weren't privy to the confidential things that were being discussed. I got a message, I think it was on the 4th of September of 1998. I got a message saying there's going to be an announcement by Howard out at Chowder Bay.
The government has taken a number of decisions to relocate defence installations previously on the foreshores of Sydney Harbour, and as a consequence of that has devised a long-term plan to return that vacated land to the people of Australia.